It's February, and News 8, along with folks across the country, are honoring the contributions and sacrifices of African Americans who have helped build this nation. Welcome, and thanks for joining us for News 8's Black History Month special. I'm Teresa Marcinberg.
And I'm Adam Chodak. Black History Month celebrates the rich cultural legacies, achievements, and adversities in our country's history.
We begin with a story from the University of Rochester, where big steps are being taken in an effort to advance Black studies. It's on the verge of creating an entire department dedicated to the subject, built up from the school's current Frederick Douglass Institute.
And the person in charge of this massive undertaking is Jeffrey McCune Jr. He and I sat down to talk about this particular task.
Yeah. It's a big project, but we're gratefully I'm able to say that the program will be a department this spring. I'm not sure the exact date, but we are now doing all the paperwork that's necessary to do that. And it's not just me; it's so many faculty at the U of R who have committed some of them have already committed 20 years to this project, but it's finally happening. And part of what that means is that we will begin to extend the arm of the FDI to be more than just a notch in the belt of the UR. It will become a full force department, highly resourced, that will have outreach to not only the Rochester community, but hopefully we'll do some work that will have impacts globally.
And what would separate it from what it has been and what other similar departments are like?
So one of the things that I think is the Frederick Douglass Institute for African American Studies is named after the Frederick Douglass, right? And there's a brand there. But it's a brand that I think is commonly unknown to the public, right? We think of Frederick Douglass, the abolitionist. We think of Frederick Douglass, the person who fought against slavery, the person who really asked America to question its values and what it was. But I think that there were other questions that Frederick Douglass was asking. And part of why I think Frederick Douglass as one of the godfathers of Black studies is because he asked questions that really reflected on the intersections of Blackness, right? Like, who are Black people? Black people are Black and at once woman. They are Black and at once men. There are Black gay people. There are Black straight people. There are Black celebrity. There are Black non-celebrity. There are Black poor people and Black rich folk, right? And we have to do well with representing all that is Blackness.
It's interesting, at times, some people don't live up to their legacy. And then I started reading the speeches of Frederick Douglass, and you're feeding into my growing belief that his legacy isn't big enough.
There's so many things that we get from Frederick Douglass, and hopefully, as we embody that legacy in the FDI, we can really have faculty that show us the many layers of a Frederick Douglass.
One of McCune's more notable accomplishments is his book titled Sexual Discretion, Black Masculinity, and the Politics of Passing. Issues of race, biases, and stereotypes are not erased when you're an artist. In fact, musicians, actors, and others say it's often magnified in the entertainment world.
I spoke to a local dance instructor with deep ties to the Rochester community about breaking down barriers, one class, one step, one movement at a time. Thomas Warfield is a familiar face. He's the nephew of famed opera singer William Warfield, who also called Rochester his home. A professionally trained singer, pianist, and dancer, Thomas serves as the lead instructor at RIT's National Technical Institute for the Deaf. He says in the Warfield family, the fight for equality was just as important as his classical arts training.
Being a Black male ballet dancer and then opera, I did have those, especially early, in my life, my 20s or whatever. I did have to kind of, I know battle isn't the right word, but it is a little bit of a battle.
His weapon of choice, dance.
It's not just that people don't like Black people. There's a whole layers of reasons why that happens. And so to be able to analyze and dissect dance or movement in a space, you can then apply those same principles, the same concepts, the same processes to understanding the world that you're in.
When he was in college, the Rochester native created Peace Art, an ongoing effort to bring diverse groups together.
Using dance as a tool or as a skill even, to address issues that prevent us from connecting as human beings.
Today, as a higher education instructor, he still faces stereotypes and misconceptions.
Push back against the stereotypical, not just the perceptions, but the thinking, because people have thinking about, oh, a black person is like this, or you're going to act like that, or you're going to respond like this, or you like this music, or whatever it is. And the work of kind of getting that perception change is very draining for people of color.
The daily skills he uses to promote compromise, build trust, and change perceptions are purposefully woven into his lessons about space, angles, curves, and rhythms. This diverse class of students mirrors society, a mix of hearing and deaf students, some majoring in science and health, others pursuing careers in gaming and animation. There are seniors who have never taken a formal dance class and first-year students who love the art form.
The one thing I really love about this class is that it opened my creative mind. I'm trying to explain who I am. This is me. I'm not like just a random deaf black girl who's just there for no reason. I'm special. I'm here for a reason.
For News 8, I'm Teresa Marcinberg. And Mr. Warfield was one of the first people I got to meet here in Rochester. Very interesting guy, very energetic. Just loved getting to know him.
Yeah, you could sense the fun in the room.
Yeah.
Very nice. Coming up next, a group of local artists working to build the African American art community through a collaborative program here in Rochester. Welcome back. In a world where image is everything, African American female artists seeking to boost their business along with the image of African Americans are finding support through a local initiative.
It's called the Rochester Artist Collaborative. Part of its mission is to uplift and provide a platform for new photographers. Let's take a look.
There you go. Oh, that's so cute.
Adam Eaton created the Rochester Artist Collaborative in 2019.
All of those art forms actually need a space where you can go to practice or test different lighting techniques. And then you go out and into your business and use those skills to be able to grow.
Since then, artists like Kijana Cruz have been able to use this studio space in Rochester's neighborhood of the arts.
It's beautiful to be in a space like this where we're right there. We can meet other people. We can interact with each other, learn from each other, and just, trade secrets, all kind of stuff.
Adam says at $250 a month, the rental fees are modestly priced compared to the $600 to $800 fees other local studios charge.
For a while, I was actually losing money because it was hard to shoot outside in the snow. People don't really like to, take pictures outside. I mean, there's, winter photography, stuff like that. But, a lot of people, they're looking for a studio space. So, I was looking for a space and, the pricing was very high.
Still, artists from low-income or underrepresented communities could not afford to participate at the reduced prices. So last year, Adam sought help in creating a scholarship.
Without the support of local community members, local businesses like Helen and Gertrude donating to fund equipment and technology, we wouldn't be able to do it.
Jackie Mcgriff is a 2022 recipient of the $3,000 scholarship.
It's nice to have a space to not only do your work, but also meet other Black creatives.
As a result, these artists have strengthened connections in the community, and they say they find immeasurable joy from uplifting others while exposing the many layers of African American beauty.
I feel seen. You've really captured my personality. This is the one I've gotten the most often, which is I've never liked myself in photos. But you just got my essence, not even essence, but it's just you got my personality, you got a different side of me. And looking at my photo, I actually liked the photo. I don't like most photos I have. So that's really awesome. And it also lets me know I did my job, but then also just made them feel different about themselves.
Jackie is among 3 scholarship recipients for this year who have been able to build their photography business. Several of the artists within the collaboration have had their work featured in exhibits throughout Rochester.
We truly want to be seen, we want to be heard, and we want to give all of our gifts to the community.
In a town known for its rich photography history, it's good to see African American women having an opportunity like this.
Yeah, what a wonderful aspect, like you said, a multi-layered industry in our area. Very cool. When we return, we'll introduce you to the son of one of the most influential black musicians who's working to keep his father's legacy alive. Welcome back, everyone. Grammy Award-winning songwriter Curtis Mayfield made an indelible mark in both black and musical history.
In an effort to make sure his legacy lives on, his son is working hard to make a movie out of his father's story. Micah Mater has more.
It's a beautiful song.
That's the ballad singer-songwriter Curtis Mayfield wrote for his love, Diane.
It was about her, she believes. It was just a gentle reminder to a woman. Add a little sugar. How wonderful and beautiful she is, and how she's appreciated. A great big expression of happiness. Can't get any better than that.
Todd Mayfield is Curtis Mayfield's second eldest son. The famous musician had 9 children. We met up with Todd at his condo in Chicago to talk about his book and the recent film option for his famous father's story.
It was very personal. When I told family members that I wanted to write a book, there was a lot of apprehension, what are you going to say, that kind of thing. And but I tried to do no harm, but at the same time, I had to be real. A few would-be biographers have tried to tell my father's story. None have done it well. They failed because they had no access to his inner life, to what drove him. He was pretty much an introvert, and he was a homebody. I was probably the best person to do it because no one else would know him that way.
Man, oh man, have you been to Spain?
The Traveling Soul chronicles the prolific songwriter's career from cradle to grave. It explains how he taught himself to play his beloved guitar at just 7 years old, never learning to read or write music, and he tuned that instrument to all the black keys on the piano. He wrote his first song at the age of 15. It also details how he loved the ladies and wanted total control and all rights to his music.
They had no knowledge of his deep insecurities over his dark skin, big teeth, and small stature, of the humiliation he suffered at the hands of schoolmates because of his family's desperate poverty.
We people who are darker than blue.
Most remember Mayfield for his trademark falsetto voice, something that always set him apart from the rest.
It's a tenor and with falsetto elements. Because his speaking voice wasn't high, and that was the way he felt he could distinguish himself.
Flames ate away at the crumbling foundations of the West Side Ghetto, an area where peace always is a precious commodity.
Mayfield's lyrics were unique, resonating with the tumultuous times of the 60s. As war was raging in Vietnam and a civil rights movement brewing in the U.S., this music became the anthem for the movement. And oftentimes, it was so controversial that many radio stations were refusing to play his records.
WLS wouldn't play it, but he just would still do it. And he didn't seem to write music necessarily to become a hit. He just did what he wanted to do. I think he would probably say the more things change, the more they say the same.
You know me, I'm your friend, your main boy, thick and thin, I'm your pusher man.
Mayfield's life is reflected in the more than 800 songs he wrote throughout his career, and he wrote music for many movies. Among them, the 1970 multi-million-dollar selling soundtrack for the blaxploitation film Superfly.
The amount of gratuitous drug use in the movie, and so a lot of people, especially in the black establishment, came out against the film. If you listen to the soundtrack, it was kind of a counterbalance to the film. And the soundtrack was the thing that propelled the film to success. And this is the certified gold record for the single Freddie's Dead from the Superfly soundtrack.
Say it's alright. It's alright.
Mayfield grew up in Chicago, where he started singing at his grandmother's church, the Traveling Soul Spiritualist Church on the South Side. That's where Todd got the title for his book. And right here is where a young Curtis would sing doo-wop on the streets of his Cabrini Green neighborhood.
When they moved to Cabrini Green, that was a godsend for them. They for the first time, they had indoor plumbing in their own place.
The Impressions got their first recording contract in Chicago with the song For Your Precious Love at VJ Records.
I believe Chess Records was closed that day, and then they ended up going across the street to VJ on Record Row right here on Michigan Avenue.
Some may call Mayfield a musical genius, a phenom, an artist who early on chose to buy his own record label rather than sell out his music to a big-name record company.
He came from nowhere, Cabrini Grain, self-taught. He did his way, he did everything his way. He lived his life the way he wanted to, and everyone can't say that.
In 1990, he suffered a debilitating accident when lighting equipment fell down on top of him during an outdoor concert in New York. It paralyzed him from the neck down, yet he still recorded music.
He has to be the only quadriplegic in the world to have a studio album released on a major label.
9 years after his accident, Mayfield died at just 57 years old.
Found success very early. He found himself very early, he would like to say. Most people don't know what you want to do in life when you're 10, 12 years old, but he did.
And that was Micah Mater reporting.
Still to come here on News 8, we introduce you to Carlos Meriwether, or should I say, Frederick Douglass.
Welcome back. Frederick Douglass is often talked about in the past tense, and for good reason. He's been gone for a while.
But there's a man in town, Carlos Meriwether, intent on bringing his legacy to life, a mission that arose during a card game with friends.
I had actually taken my hair out of the braids, and when I walked past the mirror, I actually did a double take. And I was asking my friends, you guys think I can pull this off? And they look like, yeah, right. I'm looking like, oh, you don't believe me. I'm gonna prove you guys wrong. And I had this suit upstairs, honestly. So I went upstairs, came back downstairs, and when they saw me, they say, holy. And that right there kind of gave me the boost to, I can do this.
What's it been like to have this type of connection to Frederick Douglass?
It's been amazing. It's been a journey because I can't compare myself to Mr. Douglass, but growing up, Mr. Douglass really didn't know his mom, and I lost my birth mother at the age of 18 months. Mr. Douglass really didn't know his biological father. I didn't meet mine until I was 38. So as a little boy, I was kind of lost in so many ways of, who am I? So becoming Mr. Douglass or transforming myself into Mr. Douglass has brought so much joy and happiness from my own childhood to here now. I mean, the community really embraced me so much that I'm overwhelmed with the love and the support that I get. What I also learned about Mr. Douglass is he never gave up. He didn't take sides. He was for the people. I would extend my hand and you extend yours. I kind of feel the same way. I've always wanted to be a model, an actor, interior decorator. Okay, I didn't make it big, but being Social Butterfly, becoming Frederick Douglass, who was the most photographed man of ever. So I got tons of people who always like to take pictures, so I am modeling. When I get to dress up, I'm modeling. When I get to put everything together, I'm designing. And right now, I'm being real, but it's like I'm acting. So that childhood dream is not the fame and glory, but the fulfillment.
And that's all of our stories for now. You can find all of them and more over at rochesterfirst.com.
Thanks for joining us for our News 8 Black History Month special. Again, I'm Teresa Marcinberg.
And I'm Adam Chodak. Have a wonderful night.